I have 10 minutes. What are you timing me, Tommy boy? Oh, it's so good to be here. This is such fun. Did you know that today is the first day of the rest of your Kiwanis life? Woo! Well, that was underwhelming. Come on. I know some of you just got your food and just got your dessert, but we're going to go for this. I have been here so many times that I look at every table and I think I know someone at every single table in here. That is fun. And look at all the new faces, well, not that you're old faces, but look at all the new faces also. Our new members, or those who have been here for the first time. If this is your very first time to be at this conference, will you raise your hand so we see where you are? Oh my goodness, that's fabulous. Excellent. And I do have to tell you that when I got to Sacramento, I had a ride from Mr. and Mrs. Jander. And yes, I have something special to share. Since I've been here so many times, Gary Jander said, so, you gonna bring any new materials with you? And it was wonderful because I was sitting behind him in the car and I could see Donna give him that, oh, we all do it, the famous spousal stink eye. Like, what did you just say? And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, I know all your stories. And I said, oh, do you? What did I talk about the last time I was here? You know what he said? I don't remember. I said, then they're all new materials to you. So there we go. Don't you think life is good? Awesome. I do a lot of traveling, and I love to watch people. Recently, I was getting in the queue for an international flight. And I noticed very quickly this young mother in front of me, and she has a toddler strapped to her chest. Arms and legs are going crazy, and every once in a while the toddler would kick his head back and hit her right in the chin. I thought, oh my, wow. She also has a child tethered to her waist, who appeared to be maybe 4, all over the place, right? And I thought, oh my goodness. And then a luggage cart that appeared to be moving on its own. And I thought, that's kind of weird. Well, as I moved closer, I realized she has a 3rd child because I could hear her saying, go forward, baby, go forward. At first I thought she was talking to the cart, then I realized there was a child back there. It's like, okay. So she keeps saying to this child, go forward, baby, go forward. This little kid, probably 8 or 9, is pushing with all his might. That luggage cart had 3 suitcases, 2 car seats, a double stroller, and I don't know, it must have been a diaper bag that was big enough. They might have had a 4th child in there, but I wasn't sure. So I'm following this, and this line, this queue, has those hairpin turns in it. And I thought, oh, little one. As we got to one of them, I attempted to help, and she said, no, he's fine. He's fine. Go forward. And she's saying to him, go forward, baby, go forward. And I thought, oh, he navigated that one. We got to the last one, and I thought, oh, this poor kid. This big cart. And what did she say to him? Go forward, baby, go forward. So, oh my goodness, this little kid, and it was a tight turn to the left. This little kid got down there, and I could hear him go, ah, ah, and on the 3rd time, he went forward. And obviously, his right arm was stronger than his left arm. Because as he went forward, he veered right back into the lane I was in, and right back into me. And I thought, ugh! And she looked back and said, I said, go forward, baby, go forward. And he looked up and I said, that works the best if you're on the right path. He finally made it to the check-in counter, and I thought, that is the most just incredible display I've seen from anyone attempting to get on a flight. I thought, now would I have done that? I thought, yeah, I'm not really sure about that. But I have to tell you, I got on the plane Had a long time on the plane. And I was thinking about that. How amazing that was. And I thought, what did I learn? I always like to learn things. My dad always said, learn 2 new things every day. So I thought, okay, what did I learn by that? That one little kid knew his purpose. He knew his purpose in life. It was to get that huge luggage cart all the way to the check-in counter. What's your purpose? What's your Kiwanis Club purpose? You ever thought about it? Do you know if you went back and asked people in your club, would they know? Improve the world, one child and one community at a time, right? What's your purpose as a Kiwanian? Oh, I love it. You're either looking down or looking away. Our purpose, mind, body, and spirit, to make sure that all children can wake up in a world where they know people love them, care about them, nurture them, and provide what they need to thrive. That's our purpose as Kiwanians. Know your purpose. Well, now the second one, I thought about that kid. Get on the right path. Get on the right path. What about your Kiwanis Club? Is it on the right path? What about each of us as Kiwanians? What did we learn from that? Get on the right path. I have to tell you that when we talk about Kiwanis, why we do this, somebody recently said to me, why do you do this? Why do you bother? And interestingly enough, within 15 minutes, my text messaging went off. And the message said, this is Michael. You might not remember me. I was in your key leader when you did it in, and you named this camp, and I thought, okay, that's close to where I live. He said, I'm going to be visiting my parents in Omaha this weekend. Could we have coffee? And I said, I would love that. So of course, I back to my file cabinet, looking this up to make sure I know exactly, and it was the student I thought. I thought, my gracious, this kid has to be 30 at this point, right? Okay, so I've done this a long time. Okay, so he walks into Panera, he looks over, he breaks into this huge smile, he runs over to me, picks me up off the floor, and I'm like, whoa, you've gotten stronger. Anyway, picks me up, hugs me, tears running down his face, and he said, thank you. Thank you for being who you are, and for 15 years ago, letting me, as a young 15-year-old kid who knew nothing, to teach me about life through Key Leader. Thank you to Kiwanis. And I just stood there and thought, wow, where is this friend who just said to me, why do you do this? That was it. And I said, Michael, what do you do now? And he said, I work for the Chicago Public Schools. I work with underprivileged kiddos from inner city Chicago. You want to know what I teach you? And I said, what? And he said, the principles of Key Leader, all about personal growth, respect, integrity, community building, and excellence. And I teach every student I work with that, yes, you are worth it. You are why we are here. I teach every one of my kids that they are responsible, that they can help others who are not as fortunate as they are. And I remember raising my eyebrows, and he said, yes, they are the less fortunate, and they are helping others. He said, thank you to you and Kiwanis. I haven't seen that guy in 15 years. I haven't seen that. For those of you who have ever helped with the Key Leader event, you know exactly why that is, right? I thought, know your passion. Know your purpose. Get on the right path. And be passionate. That Michael is so passionate about working with inner city kids in Chicago because of Kiwanis. And how powerful that message is. Every one of us that's here is here because we've had some kind of a Kiwanis moment in our lives or we wouldn't be here, right? Absolutely. In some way, we have been touched by Kiwanis. Now, it's important as we look to take these clubs and really make them relevant in today's world, we need our clubs to go forward with resilience. Now, I understand a lot of you are going to leave before the 3 o'clock sessions. Don't do that. That's right. I'm one of the 3 o'clock sessions. For those of us who are staying to help at 3 o'clock, don't leave. We have some great things. We promise to make it worth your while. Now, we talk about passion. How many of you are passionate about Kiwanis? I love it. I looked out and there's one napkin like this. The lights are so that I can't tell exactly who it is, but that's pretty cool. Woo! We need to be passionate about Kiwanis. Recently, I was sitting with 2 friends of mine, and we were laughing so hard. We were having such a great time, and we were telling Kiwanis stories. We were talking about things that happened in Kiwanis. A gentleman sitting at the table next to us said to the waitress, believe it or not, I want what they're having. And I looked over, started laughing, and this friend of mine said, you're going to do it, aren't you? I said, oh, yes, sir. I walked right over to him and said, you want what we're having? It's called Kiwanis. Tell me where you're from, and I'd be very happy to find a club. I have to tell you that we were actually in Italy at the time. I thought, that's okay, I can still find a club here. We talk about passion. Earlier this morning, I was in the K-Kids meeting, K-Kids and Builders, and I thought, the passion in that room was palpable. I love that. I'm actually in my 26th year as an advisor for K-Kids. And it's really special when one of your K-Kids starts to teach in the same school that you're in. It's very special. I went in and had surgery, and one of the nurses said, no, we're not taking her. The charge nurse will be taking her down. And they said, well, that's not protocol. The charge nurse came walking in. I looked up and said, Kelsey? And she said, yes, I'm taking over your chair. And I thought, oh, we're all good. She was one of my K-Kid presidents 1,000,000 years ago. We talk about passion. I have a little kid in my class, in my group, who lives life with passion. I have 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. Last year, this 4th grader, and I love this kid. He's so cute. I mean, I just want to, and then I keep thinking, don't touch the children, okay? He's so cute. Last year he said, you know what, Mrs. E? It's too bad we K-Kids can't vote for world president. I said, well, now that's interesting. Tell me about that. He said, well, I think a K-Kid should run for world president. And I looked up at one of the teachers, and she said, they learned that in 5th grade. We're good. Because I thought, world president? Cool. And I said, why do you think that a K-Kid should run for world president? And he said, well, here's the deal. If a K-Kid was president, we'd all have to be nice to each other. And let's face it, you adults aren't very good at being kind. And I thought, boom. I said, you know what? When you run for world president, could I be your campaign officer? He laughed and he said, I don't know, you're a little old for that, aren't you? Wait a minute, let me take that knife out and I'll come in. Okay. This year, same little kid, 5th grader, and we're making Valentines. We were making Valentines a couple of weeks ago. It's a shocking experience at times. I looked over the head of one of the little girls, and she was so cute. Roses are red, violets are blue, 80% of birds mate. I hope you do. And I looked at the teacher who went, like, I'm not dealing with that. That's your table. You deal with that one, okay? And I thought, okay, well, let's chat about that later. As I'm sitting there, now my favorite little kid says, oh, roses are red, violets are blue. Aren't you glad I swiped right on you? I thought, oh, how sweet is that? If some of you don't know what that means, ask somebody at your table. Because he looked up at me and he said, okay, do you know what that means? I said, well, actually, yes, I do. That's very clever. I hope they know what it means. And he said, you think they might not? I said, well, they are 80 and 90. I don't know. And so in parentheses, he writes, and that's a good thing. Okay, then he looks at me and he says, so, Mrs. E, are you married? I'm a widow. And he said, okay, I don't really know what that means, but are you married? And I said, no, dear, I'm not married. And how about if we make Valentine's? He said, how about if I make a Tinder profile for you? A Tinder profile? He goes, well, you do know what that is, don't you? I said, well, I do, but why do you know? And he said, well, let's face it, I'm getting to an age where I might let's start liking girls. And the girls at the table went, ew. Picked up their Valentines and moved away. And he said, seriously, I can write your profile for you. I said, seriously, how about we get back to the Valentines? But thank you so much for thinking of me. I thought, you'd be kidding me. So, how many of you are passionate like that little kid? How long are you going to wait to be passionate? Come on, it is time to be passionate. Know what path you're on. Be on the right path. Be passionate. I was at a ministerial meeting for women a couple months ago. 170 some women in there. And they were all singing, inviting the Holy Spirit in, and had their eyes closed and singing at the top of their lungs. And I'm in one of the front tables, and I feel this pressure on my back and on the back of my legs, and I think, is that what they meant by having the Holy Spirit here? I thought, okay. I realized there's a little lady behind me on a walker. She's got her hands on the front of that walker, and she is singing, and she is pushing that walker, and she's pushing right into me. And she keeps right on singing. And when we're finished, she looked up and said, oh my, hello, I'm Miss Lillian. I'm 91. Thank you for standing in front of me, because most of the time I end up by the stage. I thought, yes. Now that woman she knows her purpose, right? She was on the right path, and she was passionate about that. And what's the lesson we would want to get from that is to accept help. Accept help. That mom would not let me help that little kid. How many of our Kiwanis clubs do the same things? Won't accept help. No, you're not from here. Sorry. No, you don't know anything about our club. Sorry. All of a sudden, our clubs are dwindling in size when the needs of our children are going up. As a mother, as a grandmother, as a Kiwanian, that does not work for me. We need to have our numbers coming up so that every child can be happy, healthy, safe, and loved. Absolutely. How many of you are willing to say yes to Kiwanis? I'm going to count to 3, and I want to hear how many of you are willing to say yes to Kiwanis. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Oh, much better. Now we're going to put some of these things into practice. I didn't bring my phone up here, but one of the things that I teach, I still work with high school students as well, and one of the things I teach is for them to take their phone and walk around, and they just walk around and mumble, because that's what they're usually doing. And then we change it to mingle, where they have to look up and mingle with each other, and shake hands with each other, and get to know each other, because by doing that in this room, you will find the people who can help you become resilient and relevant in your club even more than you are right now. Raise your hand if there's anyone in this room that you do not know. Look around and say, that's one, I'm going after him. I'm going after him, I'm going to know who that is before I leave. Because this room is filled with resources. It's filled with people who are passionate about life. Don't wait to be passionate about being alive. None of us are promised another day. And I can tell you that after my wonderful husband passed away 3.5 years ago, it was Kiwanis that kept me alive. We are filled with such caring, passionate, loving people. We genuinely love each other. And that will help us know our purpose and live that purpose, to get on the right path, to be passionate, and to accept help from others. That will help us bloom and blossom. Now, I have one last thing before I sit down, and this is a surprise to Carol Ferris. You see, I purchased a shirt to wear to Kona, and then unfortunately, because of, well, you know, have you made plans and life gets in the way? Have you ever done that before? Yeah. Well, here's the shirt I made to wear. Carol Ferris, we're going to auction off this shirt. And with whatever, yeah, come on up, Mr. Governor. Whatever money we make from this shirt will go to Carol, and you can do whatever you'd like to with that. Doug, do you want to auction it off? What size is it? Whatever size you need, that's what size it is.